Welcome back to the Taproom Exclusive. I'm here at Jolly Scholar. I'm with Matt Vann. We have now moved on to the cold beer here. Cold beer. This is a American light lager.
That's right.
This is a fantastic light lager. A lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
Most people hear light lager, they go, "Oh no, not a flavorful beer." But this is a nice. Was it 5% somewhere in there?
Yeah, 5.5.
And it's got a lot more flavor than the ABV indicates.
Yeah,
and this is nice. I can't stop drinking it.
Yeah, this one is we ran into, and I kind of was telling you a second ago that we ran into a situation where we had a lot of construction in the area, a lot of buildings going up around us, and a lot of construction workers around, and so we had a ton of Bud Light bottles, and we were trying to hide them and trying not to show them. But if they asked for them, we would sell it to them, and we just realized immediately that, hey, this is a beer that we need to add, not only for them but for a lot of our newly found craft beer drinkers that wanted something similar to Bud Light, Miller Lite, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we needed that to get them off of the bottles and get them into our stuff,
right, so
that after this we could sell them a blonde ale and then a wheat beer or a pale ale or a porter or whatever it is, wherever we could transition to. So that was the thought behind this beer is don't knock the style. I mean, it's a great style, and after you've had a lot of hoppy beers, or just at the end of the day, or especially on a warm day, it's just nice just to have a beer.
Yeah,
a cold beer.
Absolutely. I love IPAs, but there's a time where I'm ready to set it down. And I went out the other day and I got a bunch of single beers and did like a single selection, and I looked at the picture later and I'm like, wow, this is 95% IPAs. Like, I need something different. This perfectly fits the bill because it's easy drinking, it's crushable, it's got a lot of flavor, and like you said, it's kind of like a gateway beer.
It's perfect for that.
It's going to bring people in who normally drink macro and want to. If you put this blindly in front of somebody, they wouldn't know that it was a craft beer.
No, they wouldn't.
They would know it was more flavor. They would
right.
probably know, all that stuff. But it's, and then you revealed the thing to label to be. Would you believe if I told you it was a craft beer? People would be shocked.
Absolutely, and again, so the thought is when these construction workers were coming in, and a lot of these students that were, just kind of holding fast to, no, it's Bud Light or bust, or it's Miller Lite or bust, or it's Coors Light or bust. Kind of the promise we were making was, if you don't like it, we'll pour it out, and I'll give you your other one for $1.
Okay.
Right? Just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it. And again, I think when you put somebody in that mindset of just being, coming to the table, and being sober about an opinion,
right,
and they try it, just like like you did, you sit there and go, oh, hang on, this is solid for the style, and it's 5.5, and it's crushable, and and again, it's a great offset to the big flavorful beers that you see out there every single day on everybody and whoever's got 24 taps or 150 taps. It's all these big fruited or big coconutted and coffeed and IPA'd and hopped and stuff, and those are great. We've got a ton of those too. It's just a great, nice offset. And before we came to this, our bestseller on tap was PBR.
Okay. And
so we knew we had to beat PBR off the taps, and we knew we were going to have to fight people in the streets to do that. Right. And so after a few wrestling matches, we got him out of here, and we still carry PBR cans here.
Yeah.
For all your PBR listeners out there, but the thought being that we wanted to put something in there, we wanted to be proud of it, and again, we don't have any knocks against any styles out there. I mean, they exist for a reason, and we just wanted to try to make our best version of a beer for the style, and we're proud of it.
No, absolutely.
It's our best seller.
It's nice to be able to sit down and be able to have a couple of beers, and a lot of the market is pushed to these big. How much ABV can we put into this? And can we Dogfish 120 and all that stuff? And there seems to be that push for higher ABV beers, but it seems like the market's kind of the the pendulum's swinging back a little bit towards lighter, crushable, more drinkable, sessionable beers. Would you agree that that pendulum kind of feel maybe swinging back a little bit?
Absolutely. I think you know what we've seen is everybody, since we've been a brewery, we've seen a lot of people, they come in and they just want to taste the nth degree of what you're capable of, which there's no way of really showing that inside of a year. You haven't got into any of the the big crazy stuff in barrel aging and souring programs and all that other stuff, but so you're showing them the big stuff in the IPAs because you want it to be impressive and you want it to resonate and you want it to leave you want it to just to leave an impression with them. And then all of a sudden, when you can back it all the way back and come back to something that just on its core level is just appears simple and tastes simple, which light, clear, easy yellow beers, if you've got problems with your fermentation or if you've got problems with your your calculations and your water profiles, these light beers are going to tell on you in a second. They'll tell you if something's wrong. But when we brought it back to that, kind of like we introduced it out there like a little bit tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, it's cold beer, come get it, kind of a thing. And what
they came.
We're selling. I mean, and IPAs are our lead dogs, even with these 20 to late 20 somethings. IPAs are just crushing it compared to stouts or some of these older just core basic styles, which are still fantastic. But when we brought it back to this beer now is selling about 2-to-1 to our biggest IPA on tap. So it's lead dog, and we brew and we brew again and we brew again. And for a small brewery like us, it's with not so many tanks downstairs. This is one of our 8 tanks. Don't stop, just keep it moving. And that and only our white IPA and then our Tyndall Effect are the only other 2 beers that kind of even get that kind of attention. But this one is a definitive don't stop brewing it, or kids are going to cuss us out. Yeah,
you touched on it a little bit. What's the size of this brew house? What's your capacity right now?
Yeah, so right now it's a 7-barrel brew house. As you can see, we have got this thing crammed in the basement. And
I thought I was in Great Lakes for a second with how crammed this was.
It's tight.
I mean that as a compliment.
And everybody sees the plumbing in here and goes, "Oh my gosh, look at all this plumbing you ran." I was like, "No, that was kind of here. we had to work around that."
Oh man, but that had to be a challenge.
And it was really cool early on. And again, I can't say enough kind things about him. But Andy DeVikram came in here, and Sam McNulty came with him on the trip, and I just said, "Hey, what do you suggest?" And he said, "You can get a 5-barrel system in here for sure, but you're always going to be chasing beer." Mm-hmm. He said, "If you can get a 7-barrel system in here, great, just as long as it doesn't cause you any kind of crazy, encumbrances or headaches.
Right.
But, keep yourself where you can kind of manage what you got and make sure that, you understand you don't have much space."
Right.
And when I show you later how we got all this stuff in here, it's going to blow your mind. But again, he was like one of the first people that I called, and he had no idea who I was, and then Rick from Willoughby and Matt Cole from Fatheads, actually, they were all really receptive to just somebody who knew nothing about the commercial level coming out and just saying, "Oh my gosh, you really don't have much space, but it's cool, and we think we can help you." And but Andy especially just really said, "Hey, here's how you cram this thing in here, but just leave yourself a little bit of room." So we've got a 7-barrel system, and for everybody with bigger systems, you know how small that is, and we've got it crammed in here pretty good.
Yeah, Andy was one of the first people I got to talk to on this show, and just a very knowledgeable
That's
guy.
how I got exposed to you guys.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, very cool.
Listening to it, yeah.
I'm glad that I'm glad to hear that. That makes me feel good that it's getting out there to people. People are hearing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was going to say it didn't occur to me until you brought it up as how you got the stuff in here, because usually you see people take roofs off the place, but that definitely wasn't the case, the ability to do here. So I'd be very interested to find out exactly how that happened. And what have been some of the challenges, with, with like brewing an American light lager versus, you touched on that a little bit, the fermentation, the water purity, all that stuff. What are the challenges to getting something out that is like this, lighter in ABV, but still a nice body to it?
Yeah, for us, the water was a big deal, and we're starting off with pretty good, with pretty good water here. But we just wanted to make sure that we didn't put something that felt watered down. We wanted it to be robust without being obnoxious. We wanted it to stay true to style, for this. So, it didn't come without its fair share of headaches. The first rev was good, but we thought it was a little bit thin. We didn't think it drank as crisp or effervescent as it should, and so at the time we were working without our ZOM, which is our little gauge here to help measure carbonation and whatever. So we were kind of ballparking, and this was the beer that if it's undercarbed, it's just not the same beer. It's kind of flabby and
right.
And
I've had that before.
It's just like, if you can imagine, for anybody listening, just open a can of whatever light lager you have, and just leave it uncapped for 30 minutes, and then come back to it. It's just not the same beer as it is coming cap popped and right into the glass.
Not snappy.
Yeah, absolutely. So. We took it. We took it home. I took it to a few friends' parties just to get rid of it. But we knew it wasn't the one we wanted to put on, and then we pumped up. Aaron made the correction to say, "Hey, let's pump the the volume up on the carbonation, and let's tighten the water profile up a little bit, and let's get a little bit more aggressive with the grist bill, without throwing off crazy orange flavors, and right. We didn't want it to be that. We wanted it to be a light lager, and be true to it, in every sense of that. And so those were the corrections we made early on to get it to this point. But we knew we didn't want it to be at 3.9 or 4.1. Right. We wanted it to be something that's kind of sat up a little bit stout, mm-hmm. And so when somebody had it, they didn't feel like, we're selling all of our beers for $3.99, and I get crap about that all the time. But I get crap about that from people in the business, but right. But people who drink here,
they don't mind.
No, I get pats on the back from them. But
I had to do a double take when I saw that on the. I was like, okay,
yeah, and we're actually selling this beer again, because this is the one we had to kind of say farewell to PBR with. But this beer we're selling for $2.99 a pint.
Oh wow!
And people, you can see why it's our best seller, right? This is the quintessential. Hey, I didn't want to drink today, but I do have a test, so I'm willing to have 2 or 3.
Right.
Because it's technically I'm not drinking if I have 2 or 3.
Right, exactly. It's so light in alcohol that it's like you didn't drink at all.
That's right.
That's how the math works out on that. That's exactly how that works.
And for all of our bros out there, you won't lose any gains in the gym with this. That's a Jolly Scholar guarantee.
Ooh, you heard it here. A guarantee. So
don't sue us,
please, or me, because you heard it here. And what else would you like to get out about this beer that I might have not touched on? And
we've had it's funny. We've had a lot of local brewers that have come through here, and it's great. The community is great because, especially when you put yourself out there. I think you're doing the industry a disservice to come and pat everybody on the back and say, hey, great beer. It's fantastic. I've never had anything better. It's, man, you guys are going to, print currency starting next year. What I love about it is that, a lot of people in the area, they'll come through and they'll just give you, their just most bone-sobering, honest opinion. Matt Cole has been fantastic about calibrating us and saying, yeah, that's great, don't change a thing. And Rick at Willoughby has been great. They tell you the truth,
right?
they don't hold back on it. And surprisingly, this beer has been one of the beers, one of the top 3 beers where when professional brewers come through here that they get really hung up on and they really enjoy, and they're trying to find the ways to say, hey, here's what I would do, and this one probably gets the least notes or attention from professional brewers, and honestly, this is one of the hardest beers to kind of put out there and it not get picked apart on some level, because if there's something wrong, you're going to find it.
Right. But that's, going to that point, about the community, it seems that with this community above a lot of others that I've been involved in, there's this rivalry between everybody. Rick and Matt, they're technically your rivals, but yet they come in here and are willing to sit down and say, here's what you need to do, here's what you shouldn't change. It's been really cool. What do you think it is about the craft beer industry that it's like that it sets it apart away from everybody else?
Yeah, as I mentioned to you before, I've cooked competitive barbecue for about 15 years, and it's kind of a similar type of, subculture, and it's like where magicians aren't going to tell you how they did their tricks, but they're going to tell you what maybe you should be, how you could tighten your trick up a little bit, and vice versa. You'll run into some people from time to time that aren't very accepting of critique on any level, and then you'll find some people that will just absolutely just say, hey, listen, here's what I'm getting out of this beer. Does that jive with what you're getting? And they give you an easy out to say yes, because it's not, especially for me right now. Aaron is very good at it. Aaron's very good at just telling you directly, hey, it's not a great beer. Here's where it could be better.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do. I bet you got this. Get rid of that and do this, right? I'm a little bit – I come to the table, as somebody who scribbles checks and has checks scribbled back and forth, and you're mindful of dollars. It's hard to tell somebody when something's not great.
Right.
But, I wouldn't feel right to not give some sort of feedback, and I think that's where maybe I'm lacking a little bit, and where some of these guys that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years – are sitting there going, man, I know where you're at. I've been in your position. Here's what I wish everybody would have told me at that time. And I think that's what I appreciate the most about it is, some of these, some of these guys that are, the royalty of Cleveland beer, where they come through and they tell you it's gospel. I mean, very rarely would I disagree with, what they're saying. When they say something, I'll say, okay, yeah, I get that. I don't know if it's as severe as that, but I'm not going to downplay the fact that they're getting that, and and then I think if you just you take a sober look at every beer, and Aaron and I, we sit down with every beer, every generation, and we look at it, and we try to be as sober and honest with each other as possible to say, carbonation's a little off, or this a little off, or what could have produced that, or what did your notes say here? Oh, okay, well that explains that. And I think if you're willing to do that, then you're willing to make great beer. But I do love the competitive side of it as well. I do love the fact that that's the standard for what a German Pils is. Okay, how do we meet or exceed that, right? And if we don't think that our beer meets or exceed that, maybe we don't blow the recipe up, but we sit there and go, okay, maybe we need to work a little bit more until we either find something we're in love with, or that the customer is in love with, or whatever the happy medium is in between those. Absolutely.
Thank you again for your time. We'll tune in next week for another all-new episode of the Taproom Exclusive here at Jolly Scholar.